Sir, I find unanimously the entire House believes that the Constitution needs to be followed. So that is the largest takeaway from me from this particular discussion, sir. Sir, we have travelled far. From the doomsday predictions, as was mentioned by the leader of opposition, by Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, I completely second them that we have now defied not only these doomsday predictions, but we have turned out to be one of the most vibrant democracies. Sir, I think the time has now come and a necessity has arisen that we have to look forward. Sir, I would like to touch upon 3 points given the short time I have. Sir, first I would like to speak that as I represent the Council of States, I think going forward, sir, I would believe that this House would have to actively look at the interests of the state, because that is the purpose for which the second chamber was created as the Rajya Sabha and the Council of States. So one area of concern for the state that I represent, that I come from, is the impending delimitation that is proposed in terms of Articles 81 and 82. Sir, I would beseech the House that the states that have done well, as and when we reach that stage of considering delimitation of constituencies, I would expect that this House would support the cause of the states that have done well, that have aided in the growth of the country's economy, that the delimitation exercise will take care of our concerns. Sir, I would like the House to spare a thought for a moment for the huge work done by the Honorable Supreme Court and the High Courts of the country. Sir, we have about 35 to 40 Supreme Court judges for population of 140 crores. So this roughly translates to 3.5 crore to 4 crore people for each Supreme Court judge. The amount of work they do is almost unbelievable, sir. I think the House may have to acknowledge the yeoman service rendered by the judiciary and the Supreme Court in particular. Sir, I have one concern in respect of the High Courts. Sir, I find that over a period of time with increasing tribunalization, with 28 acts having appeals directly to the Supreme Court, the High Court as it started in 1950 when the Constitution is framed does not appear to be as high anymore. Several of important legislations, sir, bypass the High Court. They go to the tribunals and go to the Supreme Court. I would request the House to consider bringing High Court back to its position of eminence. Sir, one other area of concern that I have, and I want this House to consider moving forward in the next 25 years or the next 75 years, is the issue relating to electoral reforms. Sir, the Constitution makes basic provisions in relation to elections, leaves it to the wisdom of the Parliament to make laws. Sir, we have made the Representations of People's Act of 1950 and the Representations of People's Act of 1951. But both these enactments, sir, may need certain relook in terms of electoral reforms, sir, because elections are becoming increasingly costly. Someone like me, while I'm a successful professional, sir, I don't think I would be able to contest a Lok Sabha election or even a member of Legislative Assembly election from the state I represent or the neighboring states, because elections have become too expensive. I think all of us need to work towards bringing up some law. The Constitution left that responsibility on the Parliament, sir. It is us as a Parliament that needs to rise up. We need to relook at that 1950-51 Acts to make some important legislative reforms in election laws to ensure that the best people represent the legislative houses and the parliamentary house. Sir, one other area of concern, and I think this is something that we need to look at actively, sir, is health education. Earlier, while India has progressed so much, it has now become a poverty enabler, sir, because what is happening is parents, while striving to give good education and also trying to provide good health for their families, are spending so much of their money that a large percentage of population, sir, is getting pushed into poverty, while there has been a huge poverty alleviation. The government has done exceedingly well, and I would compliment all the governments that we have brought down poverty to a great level. But if poverty still continues, sir, one of the poverty enabling factors is health and education. Sir, we have made giant strides in both health and education, but most of it, unfortunately, sir, has been in private sector. I think moving forward, we may have to look at doing something for making it more accessible. So one new area of concern that has been increasing, sir, is the growing income inequality and economic inequality. So these are the times which are resulting in this situation. This is a global phenomenon. I think there's a large responsibility on the Parliament that we do something to ensure that this income inequalities, economic inequalities do not become the reason for the modern, depressed and weaker sections of the future. Sir, I would therefore say that it is very important that we remove this sense of fear from the businessman's mind. Sir, I would want to give the example of a policeman. Sir, we were told very early when we were young that when someone sees a policeman on the Indian road, we try to move away because we are little worried. In London or in England, when someone sees a policeman, they walk towards the policeman because they know they will get help from the policeman. Sir, our GST agencies, our ED agencies, our tax and enforcement agencies in relation to business need to be that helpful agency that someone should feel comfortable approaching for the purpose of seeking help. They should enforce law, but while they are enforcing law, they should be using some kind gloves. They should not be using an iron fist. Sir, I think, sir, this government, as I said, has done a splendid job in formalizing the economy. It has played the strict father for sufficient length of time. Maybe, sir, time has come that this government now needs to start playing a kind mother. Sir, fortunately, we have the finance minister who the leader of opposition called Mataji, and I would respectfully urge the Honorable Finance Minister to ensure that this industry, which needs to come and make private investment, needs to be goaded, maybe needs to be persuaded. It may need a little bit of careful hand-holding by the government, sir. Sir, the next issue is about job creation. Sir, I have seen the current scheme that is proposed. I have done a quick back of the envelope calculations, sir. What I find, if you have to give this apprenticeship to 1 crore people in 500 companies over a period of 5 years, sir, it roughly works out to 4,000 people being granted this apprenticeship in each of the companies every year. Sir, it may be a tall ask. 5,000 rupees may be a little less. The suggestion I have for the Honorable Finance Minister is, could they scale it back a little? Instead of 1 crore, can they consider having a reasonable number of 20 or 30 lakhs to start with for the first 4 or 5 years? The apprenticeship amount needs to be something like 15,000 or 20,000 rupees. The pressure on the companies will be lesser. They may be able to take. Sir, I must also compliment the Finance Secretary who immediately clarified that this is not going to be a compulsive imposition on the industry. This has set certain concerns at rest. The government is starting from a good position, sir. We need imaginative, innovative solutions for the purpose of ensuring that we do this job creation. While the government's intent is something that I salute, sir, the scheme that has been spelled out in the budget, I have my slight reservations. I am not in a position to advise or guide the finance ministry. Sir, we have a very capable finance minister who has been presenting budgets for the 7 years, and I would think this is possibly one of our best budgets. I would request the Honorable Finance Minister to look into this aspect little more closely, sir. So then the next issue, which is a matter of concern for me, which I am sharing with this House, is about how do we tackle inequality. Sir, the government here may have to tread a very careful path. Sir, I don't find myself completely agreeing with my members on the right when they say that we need to have a more socialistic approach. Sir, please, I'm trying to get a better expression. But while we need to have welfare, sir, we cannot do it at the cost of development. India is in a development phase. I think the government is doing a balanced job of trying to balance development while providing welfare. But one area which is, there is still some lacunae and the government may need to look at it little more seriously, sir, is this rising inequality. This needs to be addressed. Sir, I ask myself, do I have a silver bullet to suggest? Sir, I don't. There is no easy solution to this. Sir, I think sadly, I have not heard anything from the treasury benches about how they would want to address this inequality on an urgent basis.